Hello everybody, MegaZardX here, back at it again to give y'all another very, well, not necessarily an exciting video, but this is a little bit unfortunate. However, Nintendo did manage to come out in a statement on Twitter saying, yes, starting in early 2024, roughly around April, yes, the Nintendo 3DS and the Nintendo Wii U's online services will be shutting down. Yes, that does mean that you won't be able to log into your 3DS or your Wii U anymore and be able to play any of your games online with friends, randos, etc. Which is kind of interesting because in March 27 of 2023, earlier this year, we got the shutdown for the Wii U and 3DS's eShop, and not even a full year turnaround, the online services for those devices are actually shutting down as well. So that is a little bit unfortunate news though. But in today's video, I wanted to go through and just talk about, just kind of give my 2 cents on the whole thing just shutting down, get my little thoughts on it, but also more importantly, give y'all an idea of all these different games that I thoroughly enjoyed both on my 3DS and Wii U, and give out some good strong recommendations for y'all just to go around and just play those games just one more time before these services eventually shut down. But if you hadn't already done so, make sure you go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. Honestly, this just sucks right here. I mean, not even a full year after, barely a full year after we get the conclusion of the 3DS's and Wii U's eShops shutting down, we're gonna turn right back around and say we're just unplugging the online features for everything else for these two systems. Now, I'm looking over here at the information from like the Q&A and stuff, and I'll just run through this thing here real quick though. But yes, while the online services are shutting down, it doesn't necessarily mean anything locally that you're able to do. Like, remember Street Pass and whatnot though, like Street Pass, all that stuff, that still technically works, but anything you have Spot Pass that relied on the internet, unfortunately, that will all, be shut down. That won't work anymore though. Also, some of y'all might be thinking, well, what does this mean in terms of you being able to still have access to your digital libraries? Like, you went through and bought a vast majority of games, both on the 3DS and Wii U, maybe even right before the shops even closed. I know myself, I personally did though. But in terms of this updated news from Nintendo, they say, yes, it's still possible for you to actually go back and re-download. So you still have access to the 3DS and Wii U eShop in terms of re-downloading your games, but obviously you couldn't go and purchase anymore, and now you won't be able to actually play any more games online though. Only things that technically will still work is going to be Pokemon Bank as well as Pokemon Transporter. Those are the only two things that are going to be going on just a little bit longer, but I have some more thoughts on those once I start going through and talk about the games that I highly recommend you going through and playing before the online services just completely shut down though. But yeah, that's just kind of the rough structure, what's kind of going down in terms of these online services. Now the more important thing, we're going to go ahead and give some of my thoughts on some of the highly recommended games that I have gone through and played both on the 3DS and Wii U, and just give y'all just the quick rundown of some games that you should definitely play before the online services is just completely over. First, we got to start it off with the kings of all kings. Yes, we're talking about Mario Kart 7 and Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8, not a lot of people are going to probably miss that one because of the fact that we technically got ported over to the Switch as 8 Deluxe. So you're not really missing too many things in 8, but I know some people will kind of miss 8 for the sense that it only had one item box and you had like the fire hopping and stuff like that. Like, people taking advantage of the basic mechanics of the game and stuff like that. And it had a weird battle mode where you did like on a full race course track. So there's some things exclusive to that vanilla version of 8 some people might necessarily miss, but luckily we have like a more definitive version with 8 Deluxe. So the more important game that we're going to miss out on is, of course, Mario Kart 7. Now, obviously with Mario Kart 7, that was like your introduction to, being able to fly in the air and go into the water and stuff like that. Yes, you have some cool little 3DS effects where you can flip that 3D slider on and kind of race in 3D if you want to see it, race through that course like that though. There's going to be some unfortunate things missing. Obviously, we got some courses moved from the 3DS to like to the 8 version. However, not every single course in the 3DS one is going to be moved over and stuff like that, as well as different characters like Metal Mario and stuff like that. Like, man, that was my go-to person right there though. But yeah, honestly, some really good courses and some really cool things that we're gonna be missing out on Mario Kart 7. So if you hadn't already, just go ahead and dust that 3DS off and just gather up the friends and crew and be like, let's go ahead and run this race one more time. Kid Icarus Uprising. Oh shoot. This one right here, I highly recommend you going through and playing through this game again because honestly, the single player campaign was great. You get me wrong. That was absolutely amazing. However, the online mode, I about put just as much time, if not a little bit more, in the online mode versus just a single player campaign. And it was just really interesting being able to go through and just fight against different enemies. And then you kind of had like a little twisted version of like a chess match where it's like you had the king piece and then, you know, obviously it was just kind of a free-for-all between one team versus another, but then eventually you have one team that turns one of your allies into pit, the other one dark pit, and whoever takes down the other one first is technically the winner. I mean, there was just a lot of cool different online modes up in it though, and I think it's a gosh darn shame how Kid Icarus Uprising has not been able to get ported over to the Nintendo Switch yet. While yes, we have other games such as like Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon, or Luigi's Mansion 2 HD now that's making the jump over to Switch. I'm just surprised how we still don't have this game over here ported over though, and I think it would, you know, benefit a lot with modern day controls though. So come on, Nintendo, I know you're probably listening out there somewhere, please port this game over. I don't want this thing dying on the 3DS though. But yeah, if you still happen to have this game, digital or physical, make sure to fire that game up again, because if not, I'm gonna come after you. Now, of course, I had to mention Super Smash Brothers for the 3DS and Wii U. There's no way beating around the bush on this one. Obviously, the more definitive version is via Ultimate, where everyone is here. Yes, we all know about that. However, the 3DS and the Wii U do kind of hold a little special spot in my heart. Remember with the Wii U, how you had like for fun and for glory, like you literally can choose for glory and have a 1v1 just stocks on like an Omega style stage. It's a flat stage. Remember how it was super easy to kind of get your preferences, and even with the Switch one now with Ultimate, you get some of your preferences, but it's not necessarily always the case. However, with that one, it was really definitive. Like, you know, it's just kind of cool doing that. And then even with the 3DS one and Wii U stages, it has some unique stages that are only on those versions of Smash Brothers and hadn't even made the jump to Ultimate. So yeah, you are going to be able to miss out on little things like that. Not necessarily characters, but more so stages and stuff like that. So, you know, there's a little bit of things to kind of miss. Obviously, you had the single player campaign for both the 3DS and the Wii U. Obviously, you don't have those in Ultimate. So there's little things like that with Smash Run and stuff like that. You're going to be missing a little bit of things right there though, but ultimately it's not gonna be a major miss though. But you know, maybe you can save those circle pads from breaking off on your 3DS. We don't got to worry about that mess anymore though. So yeah, if you have Smash Brothers for 3DS or Wii U, you better go ahead and check it out one last time. Now, of course, I had to mention Pokemon as well. I mean, we're gonna lose a lot of different Pokemon games, and this is kind of almost a little fatter or a little meatier chunk in terms of this video right here, because you know we're gonna lose out on the online modes for Pokemon X, Y, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, Sun and Moon, and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. That is the really unfortunate thing right there. But the major kicker, besides you just going through and just making trades on the GTS or battling with friends or whatnot though, and just, you know, casually doing little fun modes like that, the major kicker between all of that stuff is in terms of migrating your Pokemon up. Like right now, as it stands right now, you can migrate a Pokemon from Pokemon Fire Red or Leaf Green, Ruby Sapphire Emerald, one of those Gen 3 games, and you can move them all the way up currently where we're at with Gen 9 with Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. It is possible right now. But when the online services go down, yes, Pokemon Bank and Pokemon Transporter aren't necessarily shutting down for the meantime. However, the Pokemon Company actually came out with a statement saying, yes, we know online services are going to be shutting down for the 3DS and Wii U. However, it's still going to be possible for you to be able to use Pokemon Bank and Transporter. However, we recommend you moving up your Pokemon as fast as possible. So the writing's kind of on the wall. Yes, you can still use these services right now. It's highly recommended. Go ahead and start moving your stuff up, because you never know when they're going to decide to pull pull the plug on the online servers. And when they do, effectively, it's gonna be a soft reboot. It's technically gonna be Pokemon in Generation 8 onward. They're gonna have access to currently being in the home decks and being able to move to future generations. Everything from Generation 7 on down is gonna be locked out. So that's kind of another important reason why we kind of need them to put the OG Gen 1 and Gen 2 games, red, blue, yellow, gold, silver, crystal. We need to move those up, maybe even original Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald up. I mean, that could be a whole discussion for another day though, but it's something to kind of keep in mind though. But yeah, in terms of you just battling, trading, and doing all that stuff, go ahead and have fun with your people for just one more go around though. But I highly recommend go ahead and start transferring up those Pokemon so that way nothing never gets lost to the sands of time. All right, so we got to talk about Mario Maker real quick because Mario Maker was a phenomenal game that actually exploded back on those Wii U eras where, you literally go through, you make your own 2D Mario game where it's based upon the original Super Mario Brothers layout, Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario World or whatnot though, or Super Mario Brothers U. Like you had a lot of different creative freedom, stuff like that. You didn't have them slopes, not until the sequel a little later on though. But we already know that most of the online stuff is kind of shut down though, but you're still actually able to download obviously more levels and whatnot though. If you see any other cool levels out there, I would highly recommend just go ahead and just downloading some of your favorite levels and stuff like that. I'm definitely gonna have to boot that up because I don't know why they didn't have the amiibo costumes from the first game move over to the second game. So there's a lot of cool things that I think a lot of people made throughout the various years that this game has been up on the service though. So I'm definitely gonna have to reboot that one up because that was the game that kept on giving in terms of you just having a lot of different replayability with that game though. So yes, if you have any cool levels that you want to go ahead and download, check those out. Make sure to download those because once the service is unplugged, there's just no way to actually get it. Luckily, we do have Mario Maker 2, so some part of it does live on, but there are some pretty creative levels that were made in the original one that will be lost to the sands of time. Lastly, we got to talk about a major online game, one that kick-started off on the Wii U and became a major IP and getting 2 other sequels on the Switch. Yes, I'm talking about Splatoon, the original one on the Wii U. Because that game right there was really crazy, super unique. You never would have thought about a kid transforming into a squid, shooting people, submerging yourself into ink, traveling like that. A very unique game and has actually solidified it as Nintendo's specialized shooter moving from this point forward though. And it's crazy to think that this game has been out for almost a decade, but it's gonna be shot down a little shy of a decade. A little less than 10 years is how long this game's gonna be running. And essentially once they unplug the Switch for this thing, it's gonna be no longer possible to do anything online for the original Splatoon. The only thing you can basically do at that point is just the single player campaign. So yes, for all those people that like to, break the game and, cheat and do all their hacks and stuff like that, you got one more go around with that, or you can kind of, put on your boxing gloves and say, all right, I'm about to take these hackers down though. There are a lot of crack people playing the original Splatoon game right there. And then obviously just casual people that just like to play it for fun though. Yeah, if you do happen to have the original Splatoon or the Wii U, I highly recommend go ahead and firing that up. Gather up a squad of people and just get one good run around. Obviously, thankfully, Inkopolis made its jump over there to the, Splatoon 3 right now. But, it's going to be interesting, but a little bit sad that, the first entry for Splatoon is just going to be completely gone. I mean, most of the life and breath of this game is via the online. So it is a little sad and a little bit unfortunate, though. But if you got the game, make sure you give that one more go around. So that's basically it in terms of most of the games that I have owned where I dumped a lot of hours into their online games respectively. There's a lot of different Nintendo games and there's a lot of different third-party games that are actually out there for a lot of people to go through and experience, and I can't necessarily talk about every single one of them though. But there's a couple more games out there, one on the 3DS and one on the Wii U, that I want to kind of give a little bit of a showcase to because these are a couple games that I have bought. I know I need to go through and invest some time in them before the online server is shut down. For the 3DS title, that is going to be Triforce Heroes, because that one, if you ever play Four Swords Adventure or something like that, you literally, squad up, you're actually able to play online with a bunch of friends or a couple different friends and be able to solve different challenges and different puzzles and stuff like that, like what you traditionally would normally do within a Zelda game, and especially with this case being a 2D Zelda and whatnot though. You know what, that's really cool and stuff. Yes, you're still able to actually play that game via locally if you manage to have your 3DSs and everybody had their own copy of Triforce Heroes though. However, if you wanted to do that and simplify it and play it online, then yeah, you know, that's not going to be no longer an option. So I have this game, I hadn't even really touched it that much, but I'm going to have to gather up some of my crew because I know a couple of my buddies have that game though. So I do need to kind of put a little bit of time up in that one though. But if you had Triforce Heroes, you might want to check that one out before it gets, you know, you still be able to play the game by yourself, but it's not going to be in the intended way, you know, in terms of you being able to play with actual people though. And lastly, for the Wii U entry, Xenoblade Chronicles X. This is the game I managed to buy right before the Wii U eShops actually managed to shut down though. However, one thing I didn't really notice was this was actually a game that actually had some good online components in it. Like I didn't know that, you know, every time you boot up the game, you have the option of either doing the single player campaign, you want to play with some randos, or do you want to play online with friends? I had no idea that this actually existed. So the fact that you're able to go out, form squads with, you know, to 3 different people and whatnot, and do various different tasks up in the game, you know what, it kind of, you know, man, I honestly did not even know that that actually exists while going through and, you know, doing the research for this video right here. So I'm like, I'm actually gonna have to go through, put a little bit of time up in this game, and you know, I think I know a couple of my friends or buddies or whatnot, though, or even if I had to play this game with a few randos, just to kind of see what that experience is like, because I am a really big Xenoblade Chronicles fan. I just hadn't been able to sit down and just play X or anything like that, though. So that is a little bit unfortunate. A little bit of, you know, history is going to be lost within the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise, that being with X. So hopefully at some point this game actually managed to get ported, if not to the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch successor, if that happens to drop in the year 2024 or beyond. So that's gonna basically do it in terms of this video right here. It is really sad and really unfortunate that yes, the Wii U and 3DS's online services are gonna be shutting down early of 2024, around April. But it's sad to see the sunset with these two consoles, because they had an outstanding amount of games that were on both of these two systems, where you're able to do things either locally or online. It was kind of like, you know, basically like one of the first couple of systems that managed to be an HD system with the Wii U or with the 3DS, just being able to just conveniently take that handheld anywhere. And I'm like, man, it is sad to see a lot of these games go. Hopefully we get to see more 3DS ports, and maybe the last couple of Wii U ports that hadn't managed to make the jump yet, make it over to future Nintendo consoles in the future though. But it is really sad to kind of see the online services shutting down. If you hadn't transferred up those Pokemon, make sure to do that. And man, it's going to be a sad day when April of 2024 rolls around. But yeah, that's going to basically do it in terms of this video though. So if you happen to really like this, make sure to go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. You know, make sure to go ahead and leave your comments down below. Any other games, whether it be Nintendo first party or even the third parties, I hadn't been able to even talk about those. Let people know down in the comment section down below some of these last few games that they should go back out and check with their online modes before the plug is finally unplugged though. But that's gonna do it for this video though. So remember y'all, until what video I make next, see y'all.